Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coast Scrapbooking. My name is Karen Mahoney, and I'm located in Massachusetts.
My name is Alyse Castonaguay. I'm located in Northern Connecticut.
And I'm Deanne Castro, and I'm in California.
Hi, ladies. I've missed you. It's been a while since we've been together, and we're trying something new. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we are doing something new, and we've decided to do a project with the quarterly suites. The three of us are Creative Memories advisors. So there is an advisor exclusive suites that come out quarterly, and it's kind of it's a product that comes out. It's a collection, and let me show you the one that we're working on today. It is the Celebrations. There's a paper pack. There is a border and title kit, and there are mini embellishments, and the colors are amazing. It's really beautiful. I hope you can see this. I know you guys love it as much as I love it. And what we're doing is we have page patterns that were done by Pam Winn, who is another Creative Memories advisor. And we're using her instructions to make some beautiful layouts that Alyse will show you in a little bit. So is there anything you guys wanted to say about it before I show them the tools?
I think that's great.
No,
Okay,
yeah,
so let me just let me see. All right, so I'm going to go through the list of what we're going to need. And show you what we have. So we have, like I said, we're using this Celebrations paper pack. We're using the embellishment pack and the border and title laser pack as well. These are really great. So what we're going to need with that is we're going to need 3 sheets of dark sea green cardstock, Creative Memories. This is all Creative Memories products that we're using. And a sheet of gold shimmer cardstock, which I don't happen to have, but I think Deanne will be showing you the cardstock when she does her cutting. And 1 sheet of, you can either use aqua, which I believe is what we're using today, but you could also use Island Waters, or you could use Lagoon Shimmer. And you also need 4 sheets of white cardstock as well for the base pieces. And you can use that. You can use the cardstock or the free paper that the title fly sheets in your designer paper packs, or the white cardstock that comes in your top loading pages. So I know we always have a lot of white paper pack around. You're also going to need a few strips of paper as like a welding piece, and that can be better explained when we're making the project for you, or you could use tape chips, and again that will be explained to you further during this. So as far as tools needed, or things that we think you need, the 13-inch cutting mat. It's the Creative Memories. This is a fantastic mat for any project. You will need your 12-inch trimmer. Grab mine. Your 12-inch trimmer. You'll need your custom cutting system, circle shapes. You'll need the large and the small. I just have all 3 of them on me, but I believe you'll be using the large and the small. And you will need your green and red blades. And let's see, where's the punch that I just had? And the garland border punch is what we're using. You can definitely use different punches. If you do not have this, I'm sure we have other punches that we can recommend that you can use, but this is the garland border punch. Garland banner border punch is the actual name of it. And then you're also going to need your border maker system. And the cartridge that we're going to use is the mirrored scallops. I believe this is a retired one. Ladies can correct me if I'm incorrect, and there are plenty others that you can use in its place if you don't have this. Okay, so, and then of course you're going to need your adhesive. Highly recommend using some repositionable adhesive. I think you're going to need it for this. So, but I always like to have both on hand. I like to have regular adhesive, repositionable adhesive, and foam squares are an absolute must to have on you with any project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you back to the other ladies. Alyse is going to be first. She's going to walk you through the steps of cutting your designer paper. And after she teaches you that, Deanne will come on and do the cutting guide with the cardstock. So I am going to leave it up to Alyse at this point, and I'm going to go away for a little bit.
Thank you, Karen. Before I show you, walk you through the steps of cutting the designer paper, I wanted to show you the 4 double-page layouts we're going to be doing. This is one of the layouts that requires the white cardstock or fly sheets, free paper, sometimes people call it. And this is layout number 2. This is the one that, as Karen mentioned, includes the garland banner punch. And we do a little bit of some fussy cutting to give you this 2-color banner, which I think is great. But truly anything that you have that is celebratory, floral, even the new, the brand new scallop crochet, you could certainly put that in here if you have that as well. And if you have retired cartridges that would complement the idea of celebration, that would also work. That's layout number 2. Here is layout number 3. And for this one, I included the mirrored scallops, which I believe is still for sale. And what I did was I cut mine in half. Deanne's going to show you some alternatives to that as well today. And truly, if you've got other border cartridges, you could certainly use one of those as well. And then finally, here is the last layout. Deanne, is there anything else you could think that I should add before I begin cutting?
I don't think so, but I do believe Karen was correct that the mirrored scallops, just like in the last few days, did sell out.
Just this past couple weeks. All right, just this last week.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I had included it in my directions because when I had typed them up just recently, it was still available. So thank you for updating that. I didn't even realize it was no longer available.
I just noticed yesterday. So
okay. So designer paper A is this. There's a couple of papers that have balloons. These are the smaller balloons. And when you do this, you want to make sure, do these cuts, that the top of your paper is to the left. Direction does matter in this layout. So please make sure that you have the top of your paper to the left when you go to cut this. And we are cutting at 2 inches. And we're doing this cut twice. So there's 1 2-inch border. Here's a second 2-inch strip. And then we're cutting at 4 inches. And we're going to take our last 4-inch piece. We're going to rotate it and cut it at 6 inches. And then with this last piece, we're going to trim it down to 5.5 inches, which is just at the edge of the trimmer. So 5.5 inches wide and 3 inches tall. So 5.5 by 3. And then these extra pieces are now scraps. Just so you know, and everybody's organizational strategy is a little bit different, but these first 2 strips are going to be for layout number 1. The 4-inch strip is for layout number 3. And I didn't include where these two mats are for, but I believe they're both for the last page. So this is for layout 4. You're going to need both of these for layout 4. So 1, 3, and 4. Okay, designer paper B is this striped paper, and I don't think it really matters which direction you cut it in. It's stripes either way. So we're just going to make this one cut at 6 inches. And that is it. And both of these are going to go back to layout number 1. So I am placing them with my 2 strips. This is designer paper C, DPC. Once again, we're going to put the top of the page to the left. And these are the larger balloons that have no other background. So these are going to be cut, the first 2 strips here are cut at 5.5 inches. So once again, right at the edge of your trimmer. And then another 5.5 inches. And you can set aside this leftover piece to join those other small pieces of black paper. Both of these cuts are going to go to layout number 2. So I'm making a second pile for layout 2. I did not have one before. Finally, we're moving on to the second piece of this same pattern, but this is DPD, designer paper D. And we're going to make 2 1 3/4 inch, I apologize, 1 3/4 inch strips. If you go to the last line on the trimmer to the right, that is 1 3/4 inches. So we're making a 1 3/4 inch cut. And we are repeating that twice. So we have 2 of these 1 3/4 inch strips, and these are also for layout number 2. I'll place those with those balloon ones. And then we're going to make a 6-inch cut. And then a 1-inch cut. And I tend to like keeping paper on the left hand, the largest part of the paper on my left-hand side. I feel like I have more control over where it goes. Here's the 1-inch strip. And once again, this piece is now part of that leftover set. And both this 1-inch and 6-inch piece are going to be part of layout 4. So they're going to go with those black rectangles we made earlier. Okay. Here we go back to, this is the second use of this paper, but this time we want to look at it vertically. We want to look at it as if it was going to be laid in strips on our page. So our first cut here is going to be 3 inches, I should say vertical strips. When we cut it the first time, we had it going the other direction, but these strips will be vertical. So we're going to cut it 3 inches. And 3 inches. And this last piece stays at 6. And one of these 3-inch strips is for layout number 3. And the other 2 pieces are for layout 4. So, I think to me, it's helpful to just keep stacking these together. Less work I have to do afterwards. So that was designer paper E. And finally, this is designer paper F, the 6th piece. Once again, we're rotating this paper so the top is on the left-hand side, and we're going to cut at 5 inches. And we're going to cut again at 5 inches. And we will set aside this last strip And both of these pieces are going to be in layout number 3. So they will go along with these pages, this pattern, I should say. All right, Deanne, that is the end of my designer paper cuts. And I'm going to remove my spotlight and spotlight your hands.
Okay, so next we are going to be doing the shimmer paper and cardstock. So we're calling this cardstock number 1. And this is the Island Waters shimmer paper. So what you need on this is you're going to need your small circle, you're going to need your large circle, and you're going to need the green blade. So I take it back. This is going to be for the last one. Okay. So you're going to need your green blade for this small circle. And we're also going to need the garland border punch. Actually, garland banner punch. And so we're going to start with that. We're going to punch 2 of these borders with the garland banner punch. Now, if any of you are not familiar with these border punches, you'll need to put the paper in to where the edge of the paper is either on this left black line or the right black line. It depends on which way you're going to pull the paper through. So I'm going to pull the paper through to the right. So I'm going to line the edge of the paper up to this black line. And I'm going to push it all the way in to the back. So I'm making sure this is all the way at the back edge. And then I'm going to punch. And then this blue banner part over here on this tray, you need to match up what you've just punched to completely cover the blue sections. So you just slide it over, make sure this side is at the back, and then you punch again. And you continue to do that all the way across. Now, I didn't get this exactly on the edge. There's this little piece right here on the end, which is not a problem. We will just trim that off when we get done punching this piece. Okay, now this last part, make sure that the piece is pushed still to the back. So push on it here, line up the blue, and you got it punched. Okay, so, and that little piece on the edge came off. So we've got our first piece. This will go on layout 2. And then we do this again. Push it all the way to the back. Line it up with the black line in the front. Slide it over. Make sure all of the blue of the banner is covered up. And punch all the way to this. Okay, and this, I believe, goes on layout 2. Let's see, let me put those up there. Okay. Move the excess out of the way. Next, we're going to cut 2 1 1/4 inch strips. So I'm going to do the same thing that Alyse did. I'm going to put the paper in and cut using the measurements that are on the right-hand side of the trimmer. And this is going to be 1 1/4. So we have 1, and we have a second one at 1 1/4. Both of these are going to go on layout 3. Now we are going to cut a circle with this small custom cutting system. Circle. We're going to cut the outside of it with the green blade. Now these all have these little knobs on them, whether it's the green, the red, or the blue. You need to make sure that these knobs are in this outside groove, or if you're using the inside, you'll put it in here. If you don't get both of the knobs in the groove, if you just have one, all it's going to do is just scrape your paper or scrape your photo, depending on what you're cutting. So you need to make sure that both of them are in that groove. So we are going to cut this one, and I'm going to move it over to the left as far as I can and just estimate how far the green blade is going to cut to save paper, kind of on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to cut the outside with this green blade. And this circle is actually going to go on layout number 3. Then we're going to take the leftovers and we're going to cut a 4 by 3 inch mat and a 4 by 4 inch mat. So I don't have 3 inches here, so I'm just going to cut it out of this lower part here. So I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to cut this at 4 inches. Well, come loose. Okay. So now I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. So I have a 4 by 3 inch mat. And then I'm going to cut this last piece at 4 inches. So this will be a 4 by 4 square mat. And both of these are going to go on layout number 4. Okay, and then these are left over. All right, so now the next piece I'm going to cut is one of the dark sea green pieces. And I'm going to cut a 3 by 12 inch strip. So it's 3 inches by 12 inches. Then I'm going to cut a 5 by 12 inch strip. Okay, and both of these go on layout number 4. Now I'm going to cut a 4 inch piece, which should be pretty much what this is. Sometimes the paper is just a little bit bigger. So it's a little bit bigger than the 4 inch, but that's pretty much what's left. It doesn't really need to be exact. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. And I'm going to cut it at 6 inches. This will give us 2 4 by 6 inch mats for layout number. I don't see the number. So I'm going to just set this aside and we will use that later. Okay. Next is going to be the gold shimmer. So we are going to first cut some small circles. We're going to use the small circle pattern outside with the green blade, and we're going to cut 2 of these. So just like what we did on the other shimmer, the lagoon shimmer, we're going to go ahead and cut as close as we can. Because we're going to need to use all of this paper for all of the circles and everything we're going to do. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to move it down, kind of estimate how far down I can go without overlapping this. I think that's good right there. So we're cutting a second one. Okay, so now both of these are going to go on layout number 2. Next, we're still using the small circle. We're going to use the green blade. And this one is going to go on layout number 3. So I'm going to see here where I can fit this in and still have enough paper left. So I'm going to set it down here. Okay. This one's going to go on layout number 3. All right. Next, we're going to use the large circle for the custom cutting system. We're going to cut on the inside with the red blade. And again, I'm going to kind of move this over as far as I can. Make sure that I have enough paper left. Hope I'm doing this right, ladies. Okay, so inside.
Great. You are doing great.
Thanks. All right, so again, I'm going to put these knobs in the inside, if I can get it in there, inside groove. Okay, and I'm going to cut this one. And I got it really close, so it's being a little picky on me. Okay, all right, so the smaller one is going to go on also layout number 3. Now, next we're going to punch one border with the garland banner. So again, I'm going to put the paper in. Since I'm moving the paper to the right, it's going to go where that black line is on the right hand side. And we're going to trim this, cut this. Okay, now Alyse, do you want us to cut the banner pieces off of this one now, or do you want us to wait until you do your page?
You know what? I would say let's do it when we go to do the page, because then you can adhere it right as you go.
Okay, that sounds good. So this is actually going to go on layout number 2. Okay, next, we're going to use the border maker system. So this is the paper holder. I'm going to pull the tray out from underneath till it snaps in place.
Deanne, I was trying to think of a punch that is current that could be used. And you can still use, is Citrus Light still available, Karen? Do you know? Or the double fan? Honestly, I think it's so tricky because things just fly off the shelves these days.
I can check right.
They do.
I will take a gander. I
Um,
know it was recently, but they've been flying off the shelves lately.
right.
It
And
was
I mean,
part of the, there was this promo or a
Yeah, I
special.
think it's gone, actually.
Citrus Lights is gone also. I think they were,
I'm gonna double
eliminating
check.
a lot of summer to
Mhm.
um is wispy. How about the square link? Is that available? I'm just trying to think of other options that people might have. Square link is nice and skinny also, so you can punch two of them.
Well, let me see what we have here.
Yeah, it's gonna need to be a fairly small one because we don't have a whole lot of paper to use on here, so.
Or a large one that you can
Are you
have.
saying in lieu
Right.
of mirrored scallops?
Correct.
And something to cut in half. It looks like a lot of them are sold out, but let me just see what we got.
I also think a lot of people might have the mirrored scallops, so. Or something that could be
It was
used
around
equivalently.
for a while.
Yep.
So it was available.
Yeah, it's been available for a couple of years.
Yeah, the woven scallop isn't last chance, but that's something that, I mean, it's a little bigger. It's only got the design on one side, but you could cut a couple of pieces if you have the room for it, or use extra cardstock, but it's a similar type look.
I'm
The
going to
square
try the square link.
Yes,
That's still available, right?
it's definitely available, and that's definitely something that can be cut in half and used. It doesn't use up a lot of paper. So yeah, that would be, the wispy chain is available, but I'm not sure how that would cut, so.
You can just play with it, you know, whatever you have in stock or any of the new things that are
Yes.
I know one's coming out Monday that might
Yeah.
work as well.
In any type of edge style border maker cartridge where it doesn't cut it off the paper, you can kind of cut that as small as you want. You don't need to, you know what I mean? So that you could probably make a couple of, like, kind of the notebook edge.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
do like that. So yes, there's lots of options, so.
And actually the notebook edge one is going to be half price starting tomorrow.
Yes, yes. So that's great. That'll be $10, I believe. So that is
Yeah.
a steal.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use the mirrored scallop because that's what I have here today. Then so I put the paper in the tray, push the tray back underneath. And I'm going to punch this one. Now, those of you who have maybe not seen it, these little knobs go in these sections right here. So they easily just kind of click in. This little mark right here also lines up with these little tabs right here as you go down to punch these borders. So if you push that in, it'll lock in there. You can feel it lock in. Make sure it's pushed all the way in and punch down. Now, sometimes these little edges here can get stuck underneath. So always kind of pull it out if you've got a punch like that. And then that way it's a little easier for it not to get jammed as we go down the line here. Okay. Now there are times where I have used these little 1/8 inch strips on other projects or something just as little accent pieces, and they work really well. But a lot of the times I just end up throwing them out. So that's up to you. Now this one we're going to cut in half. It gets a little tricky. You can do it by hand if you want, or you can put it on your trimmer. I know some people will put a little bit of repositionable adhesive on it to get it to stay in place. I tend not to, just because I'm lazy and I don't want repositionable all over my trimmer. But there are people who have taken these mats and use only the ones, use this only for repositionable adhesive, and then it helps hold your pieces down. So you'll want to just kind of eyeball this. It doesn't really have to be exact. Line it up on your trimmer. Halfway down. Then I usually just hold it with my finger, kind of like this, as I'm cutting it down so it stays in place. And there I have it cut in half. Okay, so that is going to go on layout number 3. Now, the last piece that we need to cut we need a 3 3/4 inch square. So what do I have left here? 1, 2, 3. 3 3/4 is probably going to work right in there. Okay, so that's a 3 3/4 inch square that I need. 3 3/4 inch. I'm going to trim these pieces off. So that was 3 3/4, and then I needed 3 3/4. And I'm not sure I'm going to get it out of this piece. What did I have left over here? That's not going to be big enough. I don't know what I did wrong, but
I'm sorry, Deanne, did you get the bigger square in, or you did not get the bigger square in?
no, the bigger square, which is 3 3/4, it doesn't look like I'm going to get it in.
I can show you what I ended up with, which is not much left. It's really tight. I was able to. So that last 3 3/4 inch square is completely optional. It's a rectangle on layout 4. And basically, when you get to the end of your papers, you think, oh, what could I do with this? So it is not mandatory. This could just as easily be your 3 3/4 inch photograph. So this gold piece,
Right.
you can do it, is a double matte. It's not necessary.
Right. And then, but if you have another piece of scrap laying around too, you can do that.
Totally can.
Yeah. And so then the last piece that we need is a 2 3/4 inch, which it looks like I'm going to get pretty much right out of this. Pretty close. Or 2 3/4. I could also get it out of this piece right here, which probably is going to be better here. Oh, wait. That's a 2 3/4. That's right. Okay. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. This is more exact. The other one was pretty close. Okay. And this piece is going to go on layout number 4. I think that's it. Got all those cut out. So next will be Alyse. She's going to put together
I feel like we need a commercial timeout.
commercial timeout, commercial break.
So I'm actually going to add in a bonus cut here. I'm going to come back and spotlight my hands. And the rationale behind that is one of the things when we were talking about creating this layout together, Deanne had mentioned that on the first layout, actually, she had used, she had used tape chips when she created her first layout. And in which case, instead of using 2 sheets of heavy white as the base, she ended up using a strip at the bottom and a strip at the top. So these are going to be bonus cuts. Also, Karen mentioned something about welding earlier, and we can use this paper to make those welds as well. I don't want to say weld 10 times fast or anything, but so so here's the thing about welding. Some people like to weld and make their paper just a little bit longer so that it can fit, so that you can use this as part of your weld, if you will. Some people prefer to just have everything butt up against each other, use tape chips or even photo tape. Multiple options there. What I'm going to do is on the right-hand page of this layout, this strip at the bottom is 4 inches, which means the strip on the bottom left is also 4 inches. And if I'm going to weld this exactly at 4, then I want this to be the same. At the top, this is a 1 3/4 inch strip that is showing. And my thought there is, instead of making it just a 1 3/4 inch, I'm going to make it 2 1/4 inch so that I can layer these two pieces together. And my reason for that is there's always that small room for error with when you line up something that's exactly the same size. And I'd rather not have gaps in my layout in multiple places for seams. I want it to go all the way to the 12 inches. Does that make sense to you ladies? Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So the 3 bonus cuts are going to be 4 inches for that bottom left piece. And this is instead of having 2 white pieces for your base pages for the first layout. If you don't mind and you want to use that, and maybe you're a top loading person anyway, so this could possibly be your base page. I put everything on top of traditional scrapbooking pages, so if I can cut down weight, I like to do that. Actually, I had said I'm going to make this 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut 2 1/4 inch, and this will make sense when I go to put layout number 1 together. So these are just strips that are going to allow us to not have to do a base page for the first spread. And then we're going to need a few more welding pieces. So Deanne, do you tend to weld with a 3/4 inch, or do you just use tape chips? I saw that you used tape chips earlier.
Most of the time I do tape chips. I like that because it gives me more adhesive as I'm putting it actually on my page. But I have also done the welding, which tends to be actually easier. It's less time consuming.
I just stepped out. I'm going to grab my tape chips. I'm going to do the same. So I will cut some more strips just to show people that where they could use them, but I'm going to use tape chips. They come in a large packet. Anybody know the exact number of tape chips that come in a packet? There's a fun little trivia question.
Oh, I don't know.
If I was in my barn, I would know because there's a package in there, but I don't.
Yes,
Do you know, Alyse?
I have them, but I don't have the fly sheet with them anymore. I just have the.
I'm looking online right now.
Okay.
There are 10 sheets.
And there are.
So how many on a sheet?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 28 on a sheet.
280.
There you go. So they're going to last you a long time if you buy them.
Yes.
All right. So I tend to do about a 3/4 inch welding strip. So here's 1. And I'm just going to make a few. I know that there are some scrapbookers who just have welding strips already made. And that way, when you go to, if you have this extra fly sheet paper, go ahead and make them at your convenience. And then you're ready with them when you need them. So. All right, so we had enough to make 4, and you could possibly use this 1/2 inch as a 5th. But I thought I would just do that once again to show a variation. As advisors, we do try to share tips and tricks with you. So for layout number 1, you are going to need to pull those pieces that we've been setting aside. And as I mentioned, we're going to need the 4-inch strip. Oh, look at me. That's for layout number 3. Sorry, Deanne, I'm getting ready for yours. Never mind, but there it is. See, Deanne likes to use tape tips, and she was going to show you how she welded this page. Sorry, guys. I'm putting these on the wrong layout. That is for layout 3. Let's start all over again, shall we? All right, layout number. What am I doing? Sorry, everybody.
Number 1.
You need
Number
layout
one.
number 1.
All right, one. Hold on. One's on the back of it. Here we go. Oh, so I wasn't crazy. Oh boy. Well, going backwards, we definitely need more strips in this one. So hold on a second. We need those cuts for Deanne's because we talked about needing 4 sheets of white cardstock. Now we're going to need additional strips for this one. So 2, 8.
You probably need 2 that are like 4 1/4, 4 1/2, something like that.
That's what I'm thinking. I was just looking to see where we place them. Okay, so I guess what this shows is you could do 3 1/4 inch strips at the bottom because that is how high up the next layer goes. So if we did 3 1/4 inch, I'm going to write this down here, everybody. So we're going to do 3 1/4 inch times 2. And if you're watching us and you're not using, not 2 inches times 2, repeating twice. If you're not welding, you don't need directions. Yep. This is just for those who want to weld. So if you're not welding, you can take a commercial timeout and skim right through this. So there's 2 3 1/4 inch ones, and that's for the bottom. And then at the top, so 3 1/4, the next layer is 6 inches. So that's 9 1/4.
Well, and if you do it from the top, because this is the top section, it's 1 2 3 4. It's 4 inches. So you can do 4 1/4 or 4 1/2 for 2 of them.
Right. So I need another piece of paper either way.
Yeah.
It's less weight, but you still need this many.
Right.
1/4, 6, 9 1/4. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this is it a 5-inch piece? Is that what it is, Deanne? The strip going across?
The strip going across is 4 inches.
No, I meant the wider one. So this one is 6. So this first one is, so the bottom one.
The bottom one is 2.
Right. That's going to lay on
The
top
middle
of
one is 1 2 3 4
is
5
6.
6. Yeah, the middle one is the 6. So you have 4 inches left on the top.
Right. But when I did the bottom one, I allowed for that piece in the middle. So 3 1/4, 9 1/4. I'll go with 3 1/2. So you need 2 that are 3 1/4 inches, 2 that are 3 1/2 inches. So you still need 4 pieces of that was our third piece, I guess, right? Yeah. So you'll need 3 instead of 4. Once again, this is only if you're welding. If you're not welding, you can fast forward right through this. Okay. This is the very first layout we're putting together here. And you already set aside these pieces. You will need the banners, the borders from this in this pack. So that's one thing we did not separate out. So you will need to pull out some of the borders and some of the embellishments. If you are not doing this as a welded page, then you're just going to place down your 2 white papers. If you are doing this as a welded page, you're going to put 3.5-inch strips at the top. Three and a quarter inch strips at the bottom. And this piece. What this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to lay this right on top. We'll weld it in a second, but you'll be able to weld this right onto the page. So at this time, as Karen mentioned, I usually use repositionable. It just allows me a little more flexibility when I'm putting strips down. So your short strips, the ones that are 2 inches tall, are going to go on the bottom. If you are going to weld, then you want to put this next piece at 3.25 inches above the base. So 3/4 of an inch up. I'm going to weld, I'm actually going to use the tape chips, but I'm going to flip this over so that this is at 3/4 of an inch. Ah, 3.25 of an inch. And I'm going to weld it right there. You know, Dan, I probably should have just shown everybody how to do this with white paper.
And I'm actually just using the white paper on this one.
Does
I
any
didn't do it the same way I did the last one.
did so there you go. The what was I going to say? Did anybody ever watch back in the day the Frugal Gourmet? So here we are. We can call ourselves the Frugal Scrapbookers today.
There we go. That works.
And then I'm going to, so with this one, there's enough space here where I can actually adhere this. I gave myself enough room. So you could use tape chips on the back side, or you could simply adhere this here. And let's make sure I'm putting the white side on the front. That would be good. Remember, this is the back side of your page. If you're using free paper, you do not want to see solid white. All right, so that is how that layout is going to go. And then you're going to repeat the same thing on the right-hand side. I just think for me that I just prefer having that little edge. I'm just going to use a welding strip on this one. We'll show you two different ways of doing it. You could use tape chips, or you can put a nice
I, for one, am not frugal. I would have used the extra piece of white paper.
well, you know, do you use top loading pages, Karen?
I use both.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
do.
I just
It
find for
depends on
me,
the album.
yeah, I find that I don't want to use a white layout on top of, and I, you know, if I knew exactly where this was going to go, it would be different.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do white on white. It's just a lot of weight in my books because I can't figure out which photographs I want to
But
delete.
then,
So I fill my albums. What can I say?
for people that do work on the traditional white pages, that could have just been your two bottom sheets of white.
Exactly. Exactly. I just don't know where these are going, but
So that's
totally.
or frugal.
Yep. Nope. Yep. I could do that too.
Everybody likes to do. I just like to be quick.
I think Karen's trying to say I'm going too slow here. All right.
Nope. I said I like to be quick.
It's all good. All right. So the next thing that you need here is the borders. And as Karen mentioned, you definitely want foam squares because these are actually layered borders. I don't know if you've ever made layered borders. I don't know how many of you have made our card kits. Deanne, I think I'm going to actually, Karen, we could have had you do this step actually. I'm going to, you know, we could have done for someone. I'm going to show you how these are like putting together our card kits because these, like our card kits, have numbers on the back side. And so you put all of the ones together, all of the twos together, and all of the threes together. There's the twos, the threes, the 1, 3, the 2. And so you have the option when you build these of making them flat together, or you could put foam squares in between the layers, or you could make them flat and put foam squares behind. So you have lots of options there. And I have to say, these silicone mats are my favorite. So when I made my first border set, I did not use foam in between the layers. I used foam at the bottom of the layers.
These are great because they just add a beautiful dimension, even without the foam squares to your
Right.
Yeah, they do.
They absolutely do. I agree. And then these are also part of this layer. I'm just going to layer these all together. Are you okay if I do that, Deanne?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then here is the one for 2. And you may mix and match. You might choose to do some of these with foam and some of them not. But you do need 1A and B and 2A and B for this first layout.
It's like painting by numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
And I just think it's so pretty. It just adds so much more color and dimension to these.
I agree. So this one is really unique. And I'm not sure how, Deanne, how you did yours when you created your layout, but what I found I did with mine is I put the balloons here. And it's about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch between one piece and the other. And then I put the hip. Um, and I covered where you're gathering your balloons together. So that went there for mine. And actually, I think I just tucked it down just a little bit more, just so it looked like the bouquet was coming out of the hip. And then you have the word hooray. And so that was the word I chose to pop. When you place things on your tabletop that you can't reach. Okay, so then I would put my foam squares on the back side of just hooray. And make that go here. So, you can choose how you choose to layer yours, but I thought that looked pretty nice. And you also, like I mentioned, need the embellishments because you use some of these as well. And whatever little plastic container you have, I find it fairly nice to have them so I can keep lifting it and having it in the right places. But you can see there's lots of embellishments in this pack. All right, so this garland will go over here in the corner. And this hip hip hooray will go here. Kind of tuck it under. I'm not actually going to adhere this down. I feel like I've taken up enough of everybody's time on this layout. But I will dry fit it. And then this goes in that space down at the bottom. And on this side as well. And then your mat, one goes vertically right here. And you can pull the presents out and place them right here. And these are for another layout. So I'm going to put them in my little plastic container here. And then this one will go up here on the side. So there's your layout, number one. And once again, you have the option of puffing these up or keeping them flat. The choice is yours. Now, for layout number 2, you're going to use 2 sheets of dark sea green. Done. Well, that was easy, right, Karen? Quick. So then after that, the next part that makes it a little bit longer is, okay, so first you're going to lay down, am I looking at the right layout? I am, right? Here we go.
Yes, you are.
All right, so I'm placing this one at the top, this one at the top. And I'm honestly going to just dry fit this once again. I feel like I've been taking up a lot of everybody's time. Nope. I think I placed these in the wrong spot.
You need the stripe.
I know. So I must have dropped them in the wrong spot. Hang on.
Hey, it happens.
I did. Oh, you know what I did? I just grabbed the wrong layout. Yeah, that's okay. They're the same size piece, so it's fine. Anyway, I got them a little back and forth. I think I actually want these. Oh, these are the right ones. Okay. So you're going to place your large balloons at the top of your layout, the stripes at the bottom of your layout, and then you're going to place your one of your gold circles up here, one of your gold circles down here, and just going to show you where the embellishments go, and then I'll walk you through the steps of that border. Let's see here. This is going to go here. Once again, you have the option of whether or not you want to use foam squares. And then the other balloons go down here. And if you want to, you can throw in the congrats right here. Here we go. And then there is this part here. So as I mentioned earlier with Deanne, it made sense to wait until this point to cut them so you didn't have all these small pieces kicking around. What's going to happen is you are actually going to cut every single one of these little squares, little rectangles. I was counting them out when I first did them and trying to figure out how that would look. I've not done a lot of the fussy cutting, so this was a little bit new to me. But what you do is you're actually going to cut these rectangles straight out as a flag, straight out the whole piece. And then I skipped the first one and I went and did every other. That was just how I liked to do it. If you wanted to do it differently, you could do, depends on the pattern you like. You could do the middle of every single one and not have to cut as many. I liked it doing every other. So Deanne, we could have people stop the video and I could continue to do this in the background and then show people if you think that you want to start your part. What do you think? Or should I just keep going with cutting my pieces?
I think just keep going. I think we're good because they can always fast forward through it too.
Okay. So yeah, so I did it so that you had gold and that you had lagoon and gold and lagoon. And I just really like the way it looks. And honestly, because I haven't used these very much, it made me think, wow, I can use these for graduation. I can use these for my sons in the right colors for winning paintball tournaments or anything celebratory.
Right, yeah.
You can use these for baby showers.
Oh, and my daughter had a baby shower last year. That'd be perfect.
Right. So there's that. And then I went right into continuing the pattern of every other. So on the right page, I started with one. And the fun fact is that you use all of them if you go every other. I also was thinking that although my daughter's colors for college graduation are red and black, I think there's so much black in the flower and the balloons that I think I can totally use this for her graduation also. So I was excited about that because graduation is coming up next week. So, all right. I probably should have not done this right on the page, but there you go. And let me just take my little scraps off of here.
You took one of your banners.
Did I just swipe one off?
Yep.
Thank you.
Just so you don't go crazy looking for
No,
it.
go crazy looking for that little piece. All right. Let's see. How easily can I find it where I just dropped it? Anyway.
You got this.
Gives you an idea. You get the idea here with the dry fit. And in my sample layout, I used the photo placement cards, which are great. You could also have pre-cut 4x6 mats for this layout if you wanted to in white, and you'd be all set there. So I'm going to go find that extra missing piece I just slid into my garbage.
You could show us your finished page that you already did as well.
I will be happy to do that. Good point, Karen. Hold on a second. Where is my layout to show everybody? I just moved them all. Here it is. And the finished one looks like this.
Looks fantastic.
Thank you, Karen.
Love it.
And here's the thing, I can stop sweating about that little piece if I don't find it, because you're going to cover a couple of these. But it just makes sense in my mind. Just fill it all the way across. But you don't have to.
Well, because you never know if you're somebody who makes layouts ahead of time for you have the pictures, but don't put the mats on because you're not sure. It's
Right.
best to have it finished.
Good point. All right. I'm going to replace my hands with Deanne's, the magic of electronics and technology.
Wow. From Connecticut to California, just like that.
How fun is that?
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, Dan.
Thank you. Okay, so for my pages, the original ones that I did use the tape chips. I also used white shimmer. I guess I could show those to you right now. So instead of using the white paper, I used the white shimmer because I just thought it was prettier and I had it with me. When I actually made these pages, we had done these along with Pam at Crop and Connect. And so I only used what I had. But I really liked the way that the white shimmer had come out. I just thought it was really pretty. But today I'm going to use the white paper. And I don't think I have enough space to do Alyse's magic 2-page spread. So I like doing them one at a time. So we're going to take these pieces, and this is going to go kind of across the middle. I'll put them on both pieces, kind of. So this is going to go across the middle. The balloons are going to go, the wide balloon is on the other page. This one's going to go here. We're going to have this one here. So I'll go ahead and adhere these down first. Oh, and then we're going to have this one going across. On my originals, I just did 2 of these because I had enough paper with me that I didn't need to cut it in half. But I did cut it in half for this one. So we'll put this down. Move this out of the way so I can see the measurements. So this one's going to go right in the center, which from the top will be at 1, 2, 3.5 inches down from the top. Pull it across. Okay, this one is, now I tend to use my regular adhesive on most things just because I tend to use way too much of the repositionable. So this is going to go right on top of this piece right here. But I will use the repositionable on this one just because it's so much smaller. And I think I just ran out. What did I do with my refill? Right here. Handy dandy drawer in my desk. Okay, so this is going to go right on the top right here of the Island Water Shimmer. Is that what it is? Lagoon Shimmer. It's going to go right there. And then this vertical piece of the balloons is going to go about an inch over, but you can eyeball it just kind of wherever you're going to have your photos. You can move it over a little bit, just do a 1/2 inch, whatever you would like to see on your page. Okay, then we've got this circle that's going to go, let's see, right about here. Maybe over a little bit. And we've got the large Lagoon Shimmer one, and it's going to go about here. Actually, I think it goes underneath. I'm going to put it on top. Okay, and then we're going to take the piece that Alyse has already had us adhere together. I love these. I just think these are so pretty. This is going to go about right here. Okay, so the left page is done. So now we're going to do the same thing with the right page. So this is going to go down again in the center. So it's going to be 3.5 inches down from the top. And straight across. This one is going to go on the top again. Of the party piece. And the mirrored scallops half. Is again going to go right at the top of this Lagoon Shimmer. Now this piece is going to go right here on the bottom. So we have our horizontal piece on the right-hand side page, going across the bottom. Okay, and then the other circle. Since I'm not sure where my photos are going to go on this page, I'm going to put the repositionable on here. Kind of about right here. So we will have 6x4 photo about here. Then 2 other 5x4s. I don't think we have that size, do we? 4x4 or 3.5 by.
We do not have 5x4, do you?
I didn't think so.
You're
but I
not
think
crazy.
Yay, thank you. I think I got a couple of 4x4s, which will work just fine.
The 4x4
Okay, so
shows more of that pretty blue paper too.
it does. Yeah, it does. And then we have a balloon right here at the top. I love these. They're so pretty. And then we have let's see, a balloon and this one. And we have this one down here. Actually, I think this goes over a little further. And the let's celebrate. Right here. And then put adhesive on this one. All right, so there's our 2 pages here. And we had the 6x4 down here. And then you can put another photo up here. You can also put photos in the circles. I think that's what Pam had originally designed too, was the photos in the center. All right, so that is number 3. And I actually had done this one with the dark sea green as the mats for the photos, because that's what I had at the time instead of the gold and the other. And I didn't cut it in half. Like I said, I had enough that I was able to put the full border on there for these.
It's amazing how it has a very different look.
Yeah, it does. It really just changes it a lot.
I love that.
Okay, so now our last set of pages. Get the pieces out. Okay. What did I do on that? Okay, so what I did on these, I did use the tape chips. And I just taped them together. This one, I overlapped it just a little bit because I think the piece was a little bigger. What did I do on that? But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and use the free papers. I hope I have enough. Maybe not. I think I'll use the tape chips on the left-hand side. Okay, so we need the smaller piece here. We need this piece here and this piece. So this should equal out. Do the full 12 inches. So turn them over. Line them up. And like I mentioned earlier, I do really like using the tape chips just because it gives me that pre-done adhesive already. Without adding the extra weight of another page. Now the free papers, those don't add a whole lot of weight, so I don't usually mind using those. Okay, so then the embellishments that we need for this one is it would have been the larger mat that I didn't have room for. So this one would go here. And you don't really need to double mat it if you don't want to. And then you can take the You Did It. Now this is the piece we had cut, but we're using the back side of it. And then you add, and I stuck this down in the wrong place. The You Did It here. And these are the embellishments, this embellishment here. And now you can use foam squares with this. I tend to not use many foam squares at all, just because it adds the dimension on my pages that I do not really personally prefer, but a lot of people do. So it's a personal preference thing, and you can just add them as you would like, or not add them if you don't want to. I'm going to move this over. It shows move to the right a little more in the example, but I just kind of like this moved over a little bit. Give me more room for other photos on the page. Okay, so there's the left-hand side. And the right-hand side, I will use one of the free papers. And we put this one with the balloons up against the left-hand side. Of the page. And then the small stripe, I'll go ahead and put right next to it. And then the last dark sea green piece will go right next to that. Okay, then we have this photo mat piece. Right about here. And then we'll take these two pieces and you'll double mat it. So this is what the other one would have looked like on the other page. Okay, and then that one goes. That one didn't stay down. And you can adjust these depending on where you're actually going to be putting your photos. I tend to add these after I have my photos on my page just to make sure I've got room for all my photos. Then we will use this one and put it right about here. Just tuck that in to underneath the gold piece. And then tuck that one in about right here. And then we have these 2 pages done. So, and I like this that has the continuity from one page to the other with the paper. I just think that's so pretty. All right, let's see. Do I have my originals? Yeah, so my originals I actually used, instead of the dark sea green, I used the Island Water Shimmer on these just to add a different color to it. And it does make it look a whole lot different. And on these, I didn't have the extra piece on here. And I just used free paper that I cut into the sizes on those. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there we go. We have all of our pages complete
Great.
and ready for the next celebration. So there we have it, ladies. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought. So we
Yeah.
can.
Why don't we spotlight us all together? I'm not a
We should be good, right? I think we're all on the screen now, maybe.
no.
Yeah.
Just you.
Oh, well, I hit everything.
See all 3 of you.
Hold on.
Oh, you
Hold
do?
on.
I don't. Okay. I had an issue earlier on here, so.
That's all right. Let's put
we
us
go.
all back
Here
on the
we go.
screen.
Well, that
Here
was good, guys. You did a great job doing the cutting guides and assembling, and it looks fantastic. So how are our customers going to get these materials?
Reach out to us, that's for sure. And if you are not one of our customers, reach out to your advisor. Hopefully your advisor still has some of these around. And honestly, you can do these layouts with any 6 pieces of designer paper. And I don't know, did we use 6 pieces of cardstock when all was said and done? Probably. Or
Well, we
white,
used
Yeah.
3
Or
pieces
white,
that we cut and then 2
2
pieces
shirts.
for the background.
Yes,
So
yes.
basically what we've done is we've kind of put a little kit together where it comes with the paper pack and all the embellishments that you're going to need and the cardstock that you're going to need with the instructions. So those of you that know us, we only have a limited amount of the celebrations because it's sold out. So we can't necessarily get all of it anymore. So each of us have what we have available. So whoever is your advisor, just contact either me or Dan or Alyse or your own advisor and say that you'd like to get your hands on the Celebrations paper pack. It's an advisor exclusive. So that's something you'll have to talk to your advisor about or us. But I thought that was great. So hopefully we'll be back soon with another advisor
Another collection. Yes.
collection. So it'll be fun. So thank you all for watching and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Thank you.